The Packers' bye week is over, and they are preparing to host the Seattle Seahawks. We'll preview this divisional playoff matchup and share some excellent comments from you all next on your Packers Fan Podcast.
Happy New Year from your Packers Fan Podcast, the show created by and for your Green Bay Packers. I'm Scott Clark. What a wild card weekend it was. It almost makes me wish we had a Packer game to watch this weekend. Almost, but not quite.
And I'm Wayne Henderson. This is the 199th edition of the Packers Fan Podcast, recorded January 6th, 2020, and it feels like it's been a month since the Packers played a game, but only a week or so. Either way, on this divisional playoff game preview episode, the Packers are rested and ready to host the Seahawks. We'll also have the results from our weekly Twitter and Facebook poll question.
And I'll have the keys to a Packers victory, hopefully. We'll share more of your great listener feedback. And as always, our episode show notes are available at PackersFanPodcast.com, as well as in the details area of your podcast player.
Excellent. And since we don't have a game to recap this particular week, let's jump right into the listener feedback and hear what you had to say. Give us a call after this Sunday night's game and be part of next week's show by dialing 920-3-PACK-GO. Again, that's 920-3-PACK-GO, or simply go to PackersFanPodcast.com/feedback.
Go, Pack, go. Go, Pack, go. Playoff mode. Well, we just saw who we're going to face, the Seahawks in the first round at home, well, in Green Bay. I think this is a favorable matchup for us. We know we have to stop the run. It's clear from the past couple of games, Marshawn Lynch is not the beast mode of old, so I'm not too worried about the run offense. We're very opportunistic against the pass. What I worry about is watching for Russell Wilson scrambles, because he either runs for first downs or he somehow makes a great throw on scrambles and defenses get lost. That's what I really want the team to watch out for the next game. I believe the offense should be able to move the ball. You never know. Stick with the run. Again, like I've said, pretty much the second half of the season, if it's ugly, if it's close, if it's in our favor, or, hopefully maybe give us a nice holiday start to the year, they blow them out, but, you can only hope for so much. Anyway, green and gold till I'm dead and cold. Looking forward to next week's playoff game. Go, Pack, go. Roll to the Super Bowl.
I feel like Andre's bye week Go Pack Go is a little bit different than his post-victory Go Pack Go. That was definitely pretty hilarious. Hopefully we'll get a big, huge shout-out one from him next week after a Packers win, if we can pull it off. I liked what he said about Marshawn Lynch. I think we were all a little bit nervous about him coming back to the league, and especially if we were going to be playing him this week, but he didn't really do a whole lot last week or this past week. So that's making me feel a little bit better, especially since our running game hasn't been the greatest. So that might give us a bit better shot. And yes, Russell Wilson is definitely the biggest thing that we need to worry about because that dude, I mean, he's no Michael Vick. Let's be honest, but he's pretty good still. So I'm a little nervous about the game, but it sounds like Andre's optimistic, and I love the optimism, man. Let's keep it coming.
Andre, you have every right to be optimistic about this upcoming game. The Seahawks barely beat the Eagles, who didn't even have a quarterback after the second or third play of the game. We just have to watch out for that defensive player. As long as nobody hits Aaron Rodgers in the helmet, I think we're going to be all right.
And as long as we don't have replacement refs.
And as long as we don't have replacement refs, that would be another plus. And dealing with a little bit of Russell Wilson trying to scramble around will help prepare the Packers for facing the Ravens in the Super Bowl.
That's a really good point.
Hey,
and we got the Smith brothers, man.
It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. Final game of the divisional playoff weekend. By the time our game starts, we'll talk about this more later as we preview the game, but we'll know who we will be playing if we win and whether or not we'll be going anywhere. But we'll get to that in a little bit. First, we got a call from CJ and family.
Go, Pack, go! This is CJ and family from Flagstaff, Arizona. Just watching that first week of playoffs, and I'm really liking how we turned out. I don't think we could have asked for a better turnout with going against the Seahawks at home and not having to worry about the Niners too much. Felt a little weird rooting for the Seahawks and the Vikings this weekend, but I'd much rather see them than the Eagles and the Niners. And the Saints, also really happy about how that game turned out. Yeah, didn't want to see the Saints. But, yeah, well, I'm super jealous of Megan, who's going to the playoffs with Lambeau tickets. Wish I could be there. Congratulations, Megan. But, yeah, love you guys. Go Pack Go. Bleed green and gold till dead and cold.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, CJ, and getting your family involved again on the great Go Pack Goes. And yes, who wouldn't be jealous of Megan going to the game this weekend? Megan, be sure to give us a call with one of your very exuberant Go Pack Go post-game calls after the Packers beat the Seahawks. And CJ had some other great things about this upcoming game, right, Scott?
Yeah, I'm still a little surprised. I think we found our one person that wanted us to face Philadelphia in the playoff, or didn't want us to play Philadelphia in the playoffs. So that was pretty interesting. And as for Megan, I want to hear a call from Lambeau Field in the stadium when we're up ahead right after a score, hearing that I don't want to work, I want to bang on the drum. I want to hear that on a phone call, because that would be amazing.
Heck, in addition to Megan, anybody who's listening, if you're at the game this weekend, call us right after the game ends or right after the dagger score by the Packers. We definitely want to share that on the show next week.
And share some videos on the Facebook group, too,
yes,
from the stadium, because we can't be there, unfortunately. I've got a coworker, I think I mentioned this last week, I got a coworker who has season tickets and has access to playoff tickets. And I haven't talked to her yet to see if she's going, but man.
I bet she is.
She's got to be. I don't know. How could you turn that down? All right, we're going to go on to emails. Our first one comes from Caleb, Kathy, and Roy Fisher from Green Bay, Wisconsin, and they say, man, what a crazy wild card weekend. Can't wait for the Packers game against the Seahawks. Hoping we'll be rested and not give the game away. Never stop cheering for the Packers. Go Pack Go, bleed green and gold till dead and cold. Thank you so much to the Fisher family. We really appreciate it.
Also got an email from Steven checking in from Palos Park, Illinois. I want to hear from Wayne on what he thinks about the New England Patriots being one and done in the playoffs. Oh, that was the best part of Wild Card Weekend, was the fact that they looked as sluggish as I expected them. I don't know if I mentioned it on the podcast or just chatting with friends and family around town, but I thought the Titans might be doing something. Of course, the Titans might now be one and done. After this game, who knows if they'll win this week. But yeah, pretty happy that the Patriots are not going to be there this year. The Super Bowl might be safe to watch after all. Stephen continues, Happy New Year to Wayne and Scott and the listeners of the Packers Fan Podcast. The last meeting between the Packers and the Hawks, Seattle won that one 27-24. That was just a little over 14 months ago, November 15th, 2018. And I have to give Scott points for attempting to say my last name on the podcast. Did a pretty good job, even though it's not a name you see a lot of. And please, Packers, can we not have a heart attack game this week? Thank you, Stephen V.
Could not agree more. Can we just, I'm giving away my keys to victory here, but yeah, come out strong, guys, and let's just enjoy the game and the trouncing. Please, please.
And thank you in advance. Be sure to be part of next week's episode by getting your voicemails and emails into us by Sunday night at 11 p.m. Central. Show's not going to be complete without your thoughts, so make a note to give us a call at 920-3-PACK-GO. So, on to the preview. Your Green Bay Packers host the Seattle Seahawks Sunday at 5:40 p.m. Central. Strange time, but, we'll get used to it as long as we win. And in spite of previous officiating snafus, your Green Bay Packers lead this series over the Seahawks 13-9 and no ties.
I like it. I feel like every time you give that stat, we're always ahead. Every single matchup.
Duh.
Or do you?
But a couple of months ago, you were surprised when I found one of the teams we did not have a lead in the all-time series. So
Right.
And for the fourth time, the Packers and Seahawks will face each other in the NFC playoffs. And here's hoping this one doesn't come down to an onside kick attempt. Can I get an amen?
Yeah, amen.
And who can forget the playoff game between these two teams back in 2003, I think it was. Al Harris, the interception, returned for a Packers touchdown coming after Matt Hasselbeck said, "We want the ball and we're going to score" at the coin toss.
The look on his face when he did that, if you guys don't remember that game, go back and find a YouTube video because he just looked like a little kid. Like, "We want the ball, we're going to score."
But yeah,
hilarious.
Because it had only been a couple years prior that he was the backup quarterback to Brett Favre. And so now he gets to be a starter and play against his old team in a playoff game. And, well, those prophetic words, I'm sure he can laugh about it now, but I bet it hurt for a while.
Exactly.
And here's to the obvious winner. Cheese curds and beer beat out Skittles and quinoa and kale every time. Okay?
Well, duh.
Yeah, I know. That's Captain Obvious here again. The Seahawks injured the Eagles quarterback last week and still barely beat the Eagles. So I think we have a pretty good shot. Sunday evening weather at Lambeau is going to be about 25 degrees Fahrenheit at kickoff. Cloudy and dry at this point. That's minus 3.5 degrees Celsius. Bundle up, folks. Bundle up.
Man, that's not cold, man. What are you talking about? That's shorts weather for people in Wisconsin. What are you talking about?
But it always feels colder once the sun goes down. I mean,
it does, and I can attest to that for sure. But part of me wishes a little bit that there was some snow, but maybe we'll get that at the NFC Championship game if that does happen at Lambeau, if it happens at all, I guess I should say. Looking forward to that game. And I got to tell you, I know you're talking, they barely got past the Eagles. I'm actually have a friend of mine that's out in Seattle that is a Seahawks fan that texted me yesterday and told me, as a Seahawks fan, he does not think that the Seahawks can get past the Packers. And he detests Aaron Rodgers with every bone in his body.
What?
And still thinks that Rodgers is going to come out ahead this game. So even their fans don't think that this is going to go in their favor. So
that's saying
got that
something.
going for us. Yeah. All right, well, I've got my keys to a Packers divisional playoff victory. The first one is to use the home crowd to your advantage. This is probably a no-brainer, but Seattle has for a long time relied on their, quote, 12th man to help them support the team. You have to know that there will be a lot of green and gold in the stadium that day, and the Pack should channel that energy to bolster their team camaraderie. Get the crowd involved, have some fun, but also get to work at the same time. Secondly, strike fast and strike early. The Seahawks have won 8 of their last 9 road playoff games, so they won't be easily rattled. They're very good on the road. No one we know wants another heart attack game from the Packers this week. The team should focus on coming out the gate swinging, take the early lead, and rely on our defense to hold that lead. We're obviously in must-win territory, and we can't afford to not do that. Thirdly, no room for overconfidence. There's no such things as gimme games anymore. This is the playoffs. Packers have a tough road opponent this week who play well on the road. If we gain a lead, we cannot stop moving. We desperately need to keep playing at 110% for all 4 quarters. Now, normally I only give 3, but I'm going to give a 4th one this week because I think this one is the most important. Short passes. Enough of the long game. March down the field deliberately, 10 yards at a time. Utilize Jones and Williams more often. And for the love of God, don't run 3 30-yard passes in one series. It's not working, and it won't work against Seattle. And that'll do it.
Those are awesome, Scott. Thank you so much for those. And yeah, that last one. Yeah, we don't want to be putting our palm to the forehead after watching 3 30-yard passes incomplete in a row. Not like last time. That was crazy. And, as a bonus, throw the ball to the approximate height of the receiver.
That too. That's a good one. I should have put that in there. If they're shorter, throw it a little shorter. If they're taller, throw it a little higher.
Easy peasy, right?
Exactly.
So, current tally in our guesstimates, our wild-ass guesses for the score this year. I'm leading 7-5, so I'll take the floor right here and say the Packers will win this game 31-22. That's right, at least a 9-point victory. 31-22. Go, Pack, go!
I like it. I am going to also call a Packers victory, but by a smaller margin. I think this is going to be a shootout until the very end. I'm going to say Packers 24, Hawks 21, and I'm going to throw a double shock in there. I'm going to say that this game, much like two of the games this past weekend, go into overtime. And I'm going to say if it does go into overtime and I get it right, I'm going to take 2 points instead of 1. I'm just going to bring this back to a tie. What do you say to that, sir?
Why not? Throw all the things out the window. Why not, Scott? So how does that work out again? How are you going to get the 2?
I'm going to say if I get the points, if the differential is lower, I take the points. But also, if the game goes into overtime and the Packers win in overtime, then I don't get just 1 point. I get 2 to bring us to a tie score of 7-7 going into the NFC Championship game.
Just making sure that I understood the terms of our agreement. I agree to that.
I'm cheating. Totally cheating.
Jim Rome once said, if you're not cheating, you're not trying.
Exactly. This is our own little Deflategate.
And besides, if this game goes into overtime, who knows how many of us are going to survive?
That's true. On top of that, if the Packers win and the Niners win, the Pack will be heading back out west to Frisco, which makes me nervous as all get out. But man, that would be the time to figure out how to play in California. But if the Packers win and the Vikings win, the Packers will be hosting the Minnesota Vikings in the NFC Championship game, which would be incredible. That is what we're hoping for. So go Vikings and go Packers.
That would be insane. Mm-hmm. It would bring back memories of playing against the Bears in the championship game. It's not often that the championship game is against your division rival. So, yeah, this one's tough because I think I hate the 49ers even more than the Vikings, even though the Vikes are division rivals. Mm-hmm. So I think I just would love to see the NFC Championship game at Lambeau Field where it belongs so much more than anything else that I'm actually going to root for the Purple Freaks this weekend to beat the Niners.
Oh, absolutely. There's no question I'm going to be rooting for Minnesota as much as it pains me to do so. But honestly, seriously, if we can't make it, I'll root for Minnesota because they need one. I don't think they'll do it.
I wouldn't use the term need.
Well, you know what I'm saying. All those memes going around with their empty trophy cases.
Well, I would love to see those memes continue.
They're due. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, they're due. I'll give you that. Okay, that's better than saying they need one. I was like, we'll have to wait and see. But on the plus side, since the Packers game is the last one of the playoff games this weekend, before we even kick off, we'll know what's at stake.
Mm-hmm.
Because it drives me crazy when it's the other way around, when we do all that and we're excited and then we're really pouring our hearts into rooting for the Vikings.
Well, some of the players don't even watch the games. I was watching some of the interviews after the games this weekend, and they're like, yeah, we didn't even want to know who we were going to be up against. We wanted to go into the game with the mentality of we just need to win, regardless of who we're going to play. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
That is interesting, and I don't believe it for a minute.
I mean, those scores are plastered all over inside the stadium, right? I mean, they've got to be there.
And it's popping up on people's phones that might be conveniently hidden just slightly out of sight, and people whispering. They know. They know.
Right.
Oh, let's find out what happened with our weekly poll on Twitter, at Packers Fan Pod, and in the Packers Fan Podcast community Facebook group at PackersCommunity.com. Packers fans, what happens next weekend? And the choices were Packers win and so do the Niners. Packers win and Vikings win. And of course, if by some chance the Packers don't have more points than the Seahawks at the end of regulation, the other choice is the NFL season essentially ends Sunday night. What do you think, Scott?
Well, as much as I would love to see the Vikings and the Packers win, I think it's more likely that the Packers win and so do the Niners. That just makes more sense. I can't imagine Minnesota getting past the Niners as hot as they are. I hope I'm wrong. 100% hope I'm wrong, but
hardly anybody thought the Vikings would get past the Red Hot Saints either.
Nope, not at all.
In New Orleans. So we'll have to wait and see. But 63% of the many people that voted agree with you, Scott. Packers win, so do the Niners. 36% said the Packers win and the Vikes win, and 1% said the NFL season will end for Packers fans on Sunday. Pretty sure.
Wayne will be sending you a lump of coal as a belated Christmas gift.
You know it. Actually, not a lump. That's too expensive. I'm going to crush it down to powder. Just ship it out in an envelope. Just a thought.
Oh, we got some comments on that Twitter poll as well. Bill chimed in and said, "This is exactly how I wanted it to go down. I felt gross cheering for both the Vikings and the Seahawks to make it happen, though."
That's one way to put it. And Bill also added this tweet image from Matt Schneidman, who posted out that Russell Wilson's playoff career at Lambeau Field are 3 games, and he's 0-3 with a 57.3% completion. He had 3 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. I like the sound of those numbers.
Bring on the picks, yes. Travis said, "This season is a success regardless, from 6-9-1 to 13-3. First-year coach, young receivers. Don't be disappointed when and if it ends early or not." I kind of like that optimism. Yeah, even if we don't make it to the NFC Championship game, this season still is a feather in our cap, so to say, and that means we're on for bigger and greater things. Also, great stuff as always in the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community group and page this week. We got a comment from Aaron Peterson, who had a question to the community, and he wants to know, "What say you all? I firmly believe that if a player is flagged for an illegal hit and that hit causes a player to be ruled out, then the player who made the hit should be ejected. Regardless of which team it is or which player, there should be a penalty deeper than fines for such actions." That's an interesting topic. Wayne, what do you think?
Yeah, and there was a bit of conversation already about that. It was just posted in there this morning, so thank you for that, Aaron Peterson. I agree 100%. The hit, I'm sure he's talking about the play, or I'm pretty sure he's talking about the play where the Eagles quarterback Wentz was taken out on the second or third play of the game. And it wasn't the most egregious helmet-to-helmet hit, but it should have been avoided, and that Seahawks should have been gone. What about you?
Well, I think it's a little bit grayer than that, because if you just start ejecting players that injure another player for an illegal hit and basing it on how egregious the hit is, that's where it starts to get a little murky for me. Because who's going to be making that judgment call? I mean, obviously the refs are. But I think that Aaron's suggestion is that it should be a blanket ruling out of the game if you injure another player illegally. I tend to agree. I just don't see that happening in the NFL. There's going to be too many teams that are going to be up in arms. And, I mean, look at last season when we didn't even know how to tackle a quarterback because, if you knocked him to the turf, it was roughing the passer. Like, I don't want this game to become a thing where they're afraid to tackle. This one, it was ugly. I can't say it was blatant. It was an illegal hit, but one could argue that he wasn't trying to injure him. I'm trying to play devil's advocate here. Somebody on the opposing side is going to call foul for somebody being ejected when you can't prove that they did it on purpose. You know what I mean?
That would be hard to prove. But speaking of foul, it was done by a Seahawk.
Yeah.
That is a bird.
Wow. I wasn't even going there.
Dad joke.
Just
lightening the mood there just for a second. Yeah, definitely. Join the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community. Be part of that conversation as well as the others that are happening over there at PackersCommunity.com. Some of the other recent posts you'll find include Scott's post about whether the Pack should try to bring back Jordy Nelson like how the Hawks brought back Marshawn Lynch.
Also, we've got our weekly post to discuss the divisional playoff game as it happens and more, all at PackersCommunity.com. Before we head out, let's talk about some general chatter about what happened in the NFL this weekend, which was playoff weekend. It was wild card weekend. And how about overtime playoff games? Wow, it was a lot of fun to watch. There were 2 overtime games in just this weekend alone. And I actually heard one of the announcers say that up until the Sunday night game, 2 of the last 6 playoff games, which includes the end of last year, were in 4 of the last 6 overtime games went to overtime, which is crazy to think about. It's just overtime madness, which is why I'm calling the Packers and Seahawks going into overtime on Sunday evening, because it's got to happen.
If it does go into overtime, perhaps at the coin toss, Russell Wilson will say, "We want the ball and we're going to score."
I think it would be funnier if Rodgers did it. That would be really hilarious.
Look into the camera and wink. Something like that. Yeah. Rodgers would be more likely. I could see him doing something like that. Please.
That would be so funny.
But I'd still rather us be up by 35 points when the game ends.
I can just picture that. But he doesn't say it all like little boyish like Matt did. He'll just kind of be like, "We want the ball. We want to score. Point, wink, ding."
And there you go.
I love it.
Yeah, and even the games that weren't in overtime this past weekend, they were all 8 points or less, I believe. So everything was close. Every playoff game so far this season has been a heart attack game.
It's been so much fun to watch. I didn't get to watch the entire first game. I was out to dinner with my wife, and I was being that annoying husband that kept looking over at the TV to try to catch the score and looking at my phone to see the play-by-plays because I wanted to see what was going to happen. But I'm very lucky to be married to a woman that loves football as much as I do.
Exactly. Same here. So I'm sure she wasn't really annoyed because she wants to know as well.
Mm-hmm. Also, we had some news that dropped today. The Dallas Cowboys have officially hired former Packers coach Mike McCarthy because Jason Garrett was let go officially last night. And I am really happy for McCarthy. I did not have that much of a problem for him, and I'm really happy to see him go somewhere. I wish him well, except for when he's playing the Packers.
That's true. And next season, we probably will not be playing the Cowboys unless it is in the playoffs.
Playoffs?
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. It gives McCarthy a chance to really get into the groove with his new team. And remember the Titans? Tom Brady and the Patriots do. And
you just can't help but mention that twice, can you?
I would mention it more if I could. I've been talking about it all day at work and with family, and the memes, they're so beautiful. And
there were some good ones.
And the Saints let the Vikes beat them again in the playoffs. So yeah, I thought they were going to be getting revenge this year because it was in New Orleans and no Minneapolis Miracle and all that jazz and yada. They just weren't quite ready. But
I see what you did there. New Orleans, all that jazz.
I wasn't going there, but thank you. We're on the same page tonight. We're delirious because there's no Packer game to recap just yet. But I did want to bring up, because it was very exciting seeing their backup quarterback, Taysom Hill, play quarterback, play running back, do everything on the field like old school football, play all the positions. And yes, he was temporarily a Packers player when he was first drafted. But enough with all the talk about why'd the Packers let him go? Boy, that was stupid. We let him go in favor of Deshaun Kaiser. What? Look, even if Taysom Hill have been kept by the Packers, we would not use him this way. That's not the Packers' way. We wouldn't be doing all these trick plays. I don't think LaFleur would do it, and I'm positive McCarthy wouldn't have done it. So if Taysom Hill was still a Packer, he'd just be sitting on the sideline with his clipboard, never seeing the field. And so at least he gets to have a lot of fun and get a good payday. But the Packers didn't miss out. It's just
I
one
feel
of
you
things.
with LaFleur making those kind of decisions, but at the same time, we never would have guessed that going into this season we were going to have a solid running game, and we do. So who knows what could have happened? It was really fun to watch what he was doing. He did literally everything, and gnash your teeth a little bit, but we're still in the playoffs, baby. So I ain't mad at that.
And we won't be playing against Taysom Hill.
Exactly. All right, well, if you love to play video games as much as I do, please be sure to check out my other podcast, The Gaming Outsider, which can be heard at the same places you listen to this one. We just got back from a 2-week break, and we sat down with my team to discuss our favorite video games of 2019. We did a whole ranking system, and we determined the overall Gaming Outsider best of 2019 video game, and that game was... I'm not going to tell you. You're going to have to go listen to the episode.
Oh,
what game is it?
You tease.
Be sure to check that out. And also check out our website, which is thegamingoutsider.com.
Absolutely. Yes, 2020 is off to a great start. Just in the past week, I got 3 new voiceover gigs to record and produce podcast intros for 3 different clients. So that is
Nice.
awesome. And the Packers are in the playoffs, and Doctor Who is back, and the 2-part season premiere was jaw-dropping. Hear about all the shenanigans and the thoughts and theories on our Don't Blink podcast at don'tblinkpodcast.com. Bryant, it may be a new year, but we are still sending out great thank yous and Go Pack Goes to you for all of your support in 2019 and beyond. Your $24 a month Willie Wood level support is mind-bogglingly awesome. Also, continuing at the $12 a month level, thank you so much to our friends in the Texas-only Green Bay Packers Fanatics Facebook group. Go Pack Go, and thank you as well.
Also, at our $4 Brett Favre monthly Patreon support level, we want to say thanks to Jeff Summerfield and Lawrence Harvey. And then our Curly Lambeau $1 level podcast support, we want to say thanks also to Joe Christensen, Matt Haig, Hank Davis from the TPE Network of Podcasts, and Aaron Peterson from The Hollywood Outsider. Check out how you too can financially support the podcast at a level to match your budget and maybe even get cool Packers Fan Podcast logo merch. Details at patreon.com/Packers Fan Podcast. Thanks so much, and go Pack Go.
And as we head out to prep for Sunday, want to remind you the Unofficial Packers Fan Podcast, not yet affiliated with the NFL or the Green Bay Packers, but since it's 2020, now's a great time. Contact us at media@PackersFanPodcast.com.
Yeah, hindsight is 2020, so now would be the time. Follow us on Twitter at Packers Fan Podcast. You can follow me personally at GoCastScott, and you can follow Wayne at Wayne Henderson. And please join our Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community by visiting PackersCommunity.com and join the conversation.
And get your feedback in by Sunday night at 11 p.m. Central. Go to PackersFanPodcast.com, click the Contact Us button for details, or simply give us a call at 920-3PACK-GO. And thanks again for joining us this week on the Packers Fan Podcast.
Be sure to subscribe in your podcast player of choice. And now, let's hear from the Texas-only Green Bay Packers Fanatics group to get us amped and ready to face the Sea Chickens.
This is Dawn down here in Texas, a.k.a. Granny Cheese.
Hi, I'm James.
Hi, I'm Kim.
Hi, I'm Melissa.
Hi, I'm Susan.
Hi, I'm Carrie.
Hi, I'm Lisa Montgomery, and we want to say,
Go Pack Go!